Hello, hello. Welcome home, my Mara-san. Hello. Looks like your parents aren't here. My, I was a bit of a spot. You came all the way to my house. I could only thank my good fortune that my parents were absent. Since neither of them was around at this hour, they would probably be back late. I think Dad got called out on business. I don't think he'll be back until later. I see. Well, that's convenient, I suppose. We can do this without giving your parents any strange ideas. Ooshi-san pushed my back, prompting me to walk. It seemed like he wanted me to get in the car. Are you taking me to the police station? I wasn't the culprit, but I was the cause of everything. It wouldn't be weird if he wanted to investigate me. That kind of gave me a resigned feeling. No, I just want to stand around talking. We can talk in the car, that's all. Have the AC on at full blast and whatnot. Now, come on, don't be shy. He opened the back door and urged me inside. If I got in, I wouldn't have a very easy time getting out. If I said no, however, then this man would really handcuff me and take me away. I couldn't refuse. I could only accept in good grace. The inside of the car had been cooled too much by the air conditioner, and there was a rusty smell coming from the filter, which must have been cleaned only rarely. Oh, is it too cold? I'll turn the car off. He turned off the engine and it suddenly became quiet, and the voices of the Higurashi, with all their cool loneliness, snuck inside. It sounded to me like a chorus of voices, lamenting my exorbitant punishment for having harboured such foolish curiosity. For a few moments while listening to those voices, I myself lamented the days that had been twisted and distorted since last night. Ooshi-san, as if waiting for me to voluntarily begin talking, lit a cigarette and listened to the Higurashi. The silence became deafening, and I was the one who folded first. How is the investigation going? The investigation? Of what? There have been so many. Which do you mean? All of them? Well, alright then. They're officially secret investigations and we're under a media blackout, but I'll let you in on them. Shall we start from the first incident? The freak deaths of Tomitake and Takano-san on the night of the Watanagashi. On this one, embarrassingly enough, we haven't made any real progress at all. First of all, Tomitake-san. There was indications on his body that he was assaulted by a group of people, but we have no explanation for him clawing out his own throat and dying. We suspect an overdose from a stimulant or something, but we didn't detect anything. What about Takano-san? The same, we're in the dark. Autopsies for those who are burned to death are real tough. We believe she was doused in gasoline after she was strangled. That one falls under the Gifu Prefecture's police department. They hadn't been very cooperative, even though it happened in our territory. Oh, that's not really relevant though. The police didn't know anything other than the fact that the victim died inexplicably. Nonetheless, the times when the incidents occurred have been generally placed right after the festival ended. It's a bit uncertain in Takano-san's case, but the likely prospect is that she was murdered at the same time as Tomitake-san and dumped in the mountains of Gifu. Why would they bring a dead body all the way to the mountains? They should have just brought Tomitake-san out there too. Oh my, Mara-san, you're quite sharp, you know that? Of course I do believe that it's something we need to be attentive of. There are a bunch of suspicious things, other suspicious things, but this is about all I can tell you at this point. How about the mayor? Have there been any clues? I haven't exhausted that topic, I changed the topic. Otherwise he might turn the conversation on me. We investigated his movements on the day he disappeared. We didn't find anything that could provide any clues, but I'll tell you about it anyway. The mayor, Kichio Kiyoshi. Apparently he was suffered from severe hemorrhoids. People who lived a long time have an unusual amount of pride, so the mayor hadn't been telling anyone that he was going to a protologist at a certain university hospital in Shishimone. On the day he disappeared, he had an appointment for a checkup, but he went out first thing in the morning. Even I knew that big hospitals, like university hospitals, had a really long waiting time. Apparently people would get in lines hours beforehand even if they had an appointment. His exam ended at 1 PM. After that he ate a light meal in the hospital restaurant and passed the time reading a magazine. We know this because of a receipt we found in his wallet at his house. There was nothing suspicious at all about that. That day he had planned to go to the meeting hall. He planned to go to the meeting in the assembly hall in the evening. He was supposed to return home with plenty of time to spare, but while he was on the train going back, there was an accident. Seemed it delayed him a bit, and he only got back to his house right before the meeting was scheduled to start. Family witnessed a very hectic mayor leaving to the assembly hall at the shrine. What was the meeting about? He disappeared on his way home, right? The three families and the essential members of the town assembled there at the meeting. We think they were discussing how to deal with the serial freak death incidents that happened again this year. Then, on his way home, the old man who had treated Shion like his own daughter, he was a dependable person who would encourage Shion whenever she felt pressured by anxiety, and yet, Shion's painful voice struck me right in the heart. Huh? What's the matter? I was taken aback how strange my voice sounded. What was it that just surprised me? I seized my head in my hands to try and drag back out what I only realized for a split second. Remember Keiichi Maibara. I'm guessing the mayor would have no time to speak with Shion on that day. He realized something important. The night of the Watanagashi. That night when everything started. That night Takano-san and Tomitake-san died. Oh, it's not gonna be that. The next morning, word of the incident had spread throughout Hinamizawa. They planned to talk about it during the evening meeting. The mayor, however, had an appointment at the hospital, and as planned, he went there without telling his family. He got a checkup at the hospital. Eat something. Yeah, we're just gonna have to transition our way through all this. And then there was an unexpected delay on his train ride back. When he returned, the meeting was already about to start. The mayor changed clothes, got on his bicycle, and hurried to the assembly hall at the shrine as fast as he could. From when he heard about the incident on the night of the Watanagashi until when he showed up at the assembly hall. Everything he was doing that day was done in secret. During that time, nobody found out that. He went to the hospital alone. He ate alone. And he got on the train alone. All that meant he had absolutely no contact with anyone else. But we're slowly piecing it together, aren't we, Keiichi? You couldn't have even called him on the phone. Okay, but what does that mean, Keiichi Maibara? Why does that matter, Keiichi Maibara? There we go, just the gears in your head finally moving, clicking together. Kei-chan, what should I do? What's wrong? Tell me. We're not keeping secrets from each other, right? Old man Kimiyoshi, I told him everything. I told him everything. I told old man Kimiyoshi everything. That night, I told the mayor that we snuck into the ritual storehouse. Also that someone saw us and was out to get us. Right. What then? Old man Kimiyoshi didn't get angry. He smiled and then told me that if I was promptly sorry about it, there was no way I'd be demoned away. He was really smiling, and he told me to leave it to him. But burst out my body like bullets. They became one long strand and slid... Oh, that's horrible. They became one long strand and slid down from my forehead to my nose, and fell. That's kind of disgusting. Kinda disgusting there. So then, what does it mean? Hey Keiichi Maibara, no more playing dumb. When did she tell him? Fiona said she learned of the incident from a phone call her father made that morning. The mayor had left the house first thing in the morning for his appointment at the hospital. He didn't tell anyone where he was going. Nobody knew about him going to the university hospital. Furthermore, his train ride back to the house was delayed by an accident. As soon as he got home, he rushed out to the assembly hall. And the meeting at the assembly hall began, and continued until it was dark out. Then everyone left. Nobody saw him after the meeting was over. He just disappeared. Which meant... Maibara-san? Are you alright? If you're too hot, I'll turn on the air conditioner. Another part of me was messing with my thoughts, demanding that I not think any further than that. My head was pounding violently, and the fluids packed inside all blended together until nothing made sense. It was just about to settle, yet it had been smashed and melted in a blink of an eye, no longer able to retain its shape. Maibara-san? Are you in there? Yeah. Ooshi-san lit another cigarette. There was yet another cigarette butt placed in the ashtray. Was it displaying the passage of time? Had my thoughts been frozen over for that long? I tried to tell you everything I know. In return, feel free to tell me anything you want, Maibara-san. My mind had become a gigantic oozing mess. My brain felt like it had been totally minced by the blades of a blender. I couldn't think. Now, don't clam up again. If there's any misunderstandings, I'd like to clear them up first. I don't think you're the culprit here or anything. Ooshi-san gave his best attempt at an adult smile. I know the four of you snuck into the ritual storehouse that night. Everyone in the village heard rumours about it by the next day. That in itself means we should take you in for trespassing, but that isn't the problem. It's what was inside. What was inside that made the people who snuck in there end up as sacrifices? There wasn't anything. As soon as I said it, I regretted confirming my presence there. But I knew it didn't matter anymore. Was there really nothing inside? I mean, everyone who went in there is being sacrificed one by one, you know? Even the Mei and Rika-san who switched the lock on the door were sacrificed. What was inside that could have caused such terrible things to happen? I was far too tired of keeping quiet about this. Perhaps that Ooshi-san's goal all along, but again, that didn't matter anymore. There was a lot of torture devices that were used a long time ago. I looked around at them with everyone. Was that really all? That was really all. There was something terrible in there that would make you keep silent, like a pile of psychoactive drugs, maybe a secret poppy workshop. Perhaps there were mountains of Soviet or Chinese handguns. There weren't any suspicious wooden boxes or containers packed in there. There was nothing as exaggerated as what Ooshi-san was hoping for, but I felt like in a way there was plenty of terrible things hidden in there. And the fact he's like, drugs, poppy workshop, or just guns. Nothing about the torture devices. No, because well, that's fine. On the perspective of someone who viewed the storehouse as sacred, whether or not I thought I had seen some crazy things didn't matter in the slightest. The four of us broke the taboo. Punish us. That should have been what happened. We put in a request for a search warrant, thinking that there might have been some secrets hidden inside that in that storehouse. It's been the sabotage of the century. They said it would have been an insult to religious figures, as something about the right to free religion in the Constitution. Jeez. That's really why I didn't have any other recourse but to ask you, since you went in there. There really was just old, rusty, dusty torture equipment. Nothing else stood out. Then Tomitake-san and Takano-san were only killed as punishment for having broken the taboo. I didn't have an answer for the only part. I suppose I won't bother hiding it anymore. You're the only one who escaped harm so far. Everyone but you has disappeared, and yet you are alone, are safe. The only difference between you and them that would protect you but bring harm to others? And what's the difference between you and them that would protect you but bring harm to others? That's what I want to know. There was something wrong with what Ooshi-san was saying. You alone. What? Wait a second. What do you mean by you alone? I'm saying that you alone have been left alive, right? Out of the 4 people who tiptoed into the storehouse for ritual implements, I mean. The only one left alive? Hold on. Shion was still. Hiro Tomitake-san and Mio Takano-san died that night, and Shion Sonozaki disappeared the next day. Only you are still safe and sound at this point. Why only you? I'm saying that's what I want to know. Shion disappeared? That's impossible. I unintentionally raised my voice, but I didn't care about that. Tomitake-san died, Takano-san died, and Shion disappeared. When I heard when did she disappear? What is this guy talking about? Oh well now, I thought you were long since aware of this. This is the first time I've heard of it. Disappeared? When? Well, going back a bit, she disappeared the day after the Watanagashi. Going back a bit? Stop saying stuff I don't understand. Shion Sonozaki spends the night at relatives. spends the night at relatives' houses, depending on her mood on any given day. So no one thought much of not knowing where she was. She frequently takes days off from school too. Her teacher has been pretty troubled by it. I didn't ask her about any of that. Hang on, I didn't ask about any of that. I'm asking you when Shion disappeared. I told you, it was the day after Watanagashi. The fluids in my body were all reversed. The fluids in my body all reversed direction. I lost my sense of balance and everything I could see started to warp and twist out of shape. I simply couldn't endure it. Hang on. Shion had already disappeared. Then, that night, that phone call, who was that? She called me every night. She encouraged me. We vowed that we would do our best to live on and not be erased. Yes, that should have been a phone call with Shion. Should have been a phone call with Shion. She took breaks from class like it was nothing, and her family wouldn't listen when I told them, so I didn't bother calling the school in the end. So it ended up taking quite a while before we realised she disappeared. I felt a stabbing pain like needles were being pushed into every pore of my body. It started on my back and began spreading throughout the rest of me. When it had completely covered the surface of my skin, it began to worm its way inside my stomach as well. Don't you remember? We talked at the library the day after Watanagashi. Shion-san was there then. That was the last we saw of her. No one knows where she's been since. That can't be. That day, Ooshi-san only caught me, and Shion bounded away, lying that she needs to go to work. Didn't she call me that night? Her job was at a restaurant called Angel Mort, right? She hadn't been there since that day. She's been completely absent ever since. The person at the restaurant couldn't get in touch with her. He was really worried. That can't be. It can't be. It's only circumstantial evidence, but after she left us at the library, but before she made it to work, I think it's approximate to consider her having disappeared during that time. Right after Shion ran away without me? It seems that you didn't know. Maybe if I had said something earlier, this would have gone much more quickly. Now you understand, right? You're the only one left. You're the only survivor of the 4 who slipped into the ritual storehouse. I couldn't believe it. It just couldn't be. If something else happens, it would happen to you. I need you to understand that, Maibara-san. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be. Shion had already disappeared. That couldn't be. It couldn't be. I talked to her the day before yesterday. I talked to her last night. She was going to call me again today. That was Shion on the phone. Shion on the phone. It was from Shion. Shion had long since disappeared. Next will be you. Then, who was on the phone these past nights? Who's on the phone these past nights? It can't be. We're having this minor freak out, eh? I don't know if we haven't told him that Shion called us those nights either. Would be quite good information for him.